Well, good afternoon, everybody. And of course, we're back. My name is Councilwoman DeBlonde Jackson, and you're watching Highland Park Show, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Well, I tell you what, things are really getting very happy in Highland Park. There's so many wonderful projects going on and things happening. They haven't moved yet. I mean, we're still at point A trying to formulate activities, trying to just do the right thing. And when you're talking about doing the right thing, it means that you have to get your development section in order. You have to get the zoning sections in order. And then we can begin to build. I'm telling you, I'm so excited. I'm about to jump out of this chair. As you can see, I'm wiggling around. However, what I love so much about my fair city is that it's never dull. It's just never dull.
That's the truth.
But I will tell you this. What I'm looking forward to is the wonderful building and buildings that are going to happen in the development projects. Several of which will increase to, I think, roughly about 1,500 to 2,000 jobs between all of them, maybe even more. It really depends on, what's being sold and, of course, the economy. And, of course, you already know that some of I went down the SNET camp in Highland Park, and I noticed that there weren't that many cars on the lot. So I asked, and he says, well, some kind of chip that they need, that they don't have a lot of. So a lot of the newer cars can't be made. So they have so many, so a lot of the used car dealers are taking advantage of that, because I've heard that the used car prices have gone up everywhere. So in looking at that and understanding about all this, I can say this. Highland Park is on the way up, because anytime there's no inventory and they can't seem to get any, it's scarce. So that means, the prices of those items possibly will come back in a higher range. But what's also good is that I've gotten several compliments. People just all of a sudden told me, Woodward looks better. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
It does.
Because going from 6 Mile to Tennyson, it's some of the store owners have really taken pride, because I knocked on every store owner's door and I asked them, I says, look, sir, and I don't mean to be funny, but you have those tumbleweeds growing out there, and and some of them were up to my waist. I says, wouldn't you want your business more exciting to come in and see for people to see the beauty? Because when you look at the numbers, if you're a business owner or any type of owner and you're working for yourself, it's about the number of people that goes through that door is how you're going to make your money. Like, for instance, if you're at a gas station and before you could get in the door, it's 10 people asking you for $1, and you just went in for a pack of cigarettes, well, there goes your pack of cigarettes. So, but if I am at a gas station or a business or anything, and I'm going in the store and I see it's clean, it's inviting, and when you open that door, the smell of just cleanliness. Now that, to me, is way more than inviting, instead of the smell being some old rotten meat. That would be horrendous. But what I can say is that a lot of the owners, I couldn't believe it, and I've been going up and down Woodward every day, early in the mornings, because that's when you can see how your cleaning is done, because there's not a lot of people on the street. Well, in one business in particularly, I'm not going to name that business, but I did explain to them how much trash that I saw, as well as the vagrant population. And I noticed there have been some changes, because Chief Coney said that he himself, he said, Councilwoman Jackson, we're going to make some changes. And I believe that, man. He had that conviction in his eye.
He's a good man.
And I says, sir, I know you're going to do it, and I'm just going to watch it happen. And by golly, I don't know if some of the people listening, I know we haven't gotten all the trash up there, but, I'm still on that.
Working on it.
We're working on it. But the bottom line is, for the general community, let's just get together 2 hours a week. How about 2 hours on a Saturday? Let's say 10 to 12. It says that wouldn't bother anyone.
Right.
And if everybody between 10 to 12 came up, we'll start on Woodward. We'll start one long north to south block a week. Let's start on Woodward, and let's go all the way to Tennyson. But what we could do is, let's have some people start on Tennyson, and have some people start on 6 Mile.
Yeah.
And they meet in the middle and have a party. Okay? That sounds good to me. May it be at the daily, you may have a drink at the little store there. Because if we all started on 6 Mile and we went to Davidson, or they all started on Tennyson and came to Davidson, that would be the wonderful culminating activity where everybody can warrant a pop or a soda of some sort, or a nice sandwich possibly if we can get someone to, or a piece of pizza, since Little Caesars is there. Why not? For the cleanliness and for people to come in your establishment and it's looking good, smelling good, and look how beautiful it is outside.
Manhattan Chicken is there too. And Burger
yes. And that's what I'm talking about. If they have the culminating activity, everybody can come and get whatever they want. Because it's all right. And Kentucky Fried Chicken is across the street.
It's across the street.
So there is a party in itself, is what I'm saying. So we just meet in the middle and just have some fun. Maybe those people might even provide us some snacks for cleaning up. Who knows? A friend of mine always told me, a closed mouth never gets fed.
That's
I never understood that, but then it makes sense.
Amen.
You have to ask, it says in the Bible, and the door shall be open. Seek what? And ye shall find. So,
knock.
Knocking, hey, it's going to open up. But one thing you have to do is you got to take a step.
That's right.
You have to take a step and move forward. And what I like about that portion of it is because we as a people, many of us whom all lived in that little wonderful city of Highland Park. I was telling someone this morning, I had breakfast with Mrs. Bates.
Okay.
And I told her.
Dr. Anita Bates?
No, Dr. Anita Bates. I call her Mrs. Bates, Dr. Bates. She says, just call me Anita when we're away from all this.
She's good people.
But she's such a wonderful lady. She has hold on one second. She has a doctorate. But what I like about her is her teaching skills are impeccable. And that's what Highland Park need. People who are serious about the arts. I understand and like technology, but guess where it all comes from first? It comes from when you're raising up as a little child, and you first pick up that pencil, and you first look at that piece of paper, and you start drawing those noodles. That's where it starts. And then some noodles are drawn better than other noodles. The next thing you know, you got an artist. Or some people pick up that instrument, and some people play better than others. And that's what I like about this. I'm going to ask you in the next segment, I'm going to introduce you to this wonderful young lady here. And she is so dynamic and she's sort of like me, fired up about stuff because, we're from the old school. Our parents were the ones who, in fact, our parents were the ones who locked the administrators up in 20 Bartlett and wouldn't let them out because we couldn't go to school because the teachers decided to strike. So the school board decided that they were going to be at a stance and the teachers were at a stance. So guess what? Our parents, meaning my dad, her mom and dad, they made sure, and all the other parents, they locked them up in there until they made a stance. And see, where I'm going with this is that Highland Park has always had everything. We had good parents. We had good, I took, calculus. What high school students are taking calculus now? When you got to think about all that. Maybe like they say, some of them are taking college courses. But when you think about high school, what are the things that the children need? What do they like? Well, one school in particular, like Dr. Bates mentioned, the kids say, we like iPhones and we like money. So, what a great way to write a curriculum about finance and technology. How about that? Now, who else could discover such a thing? Just the smartness of how we can brand certain ideas and share them with our children. Now, listeners, I don't know if you're listening to this. I probably have to put this Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. We probably have to put this information in some form of writing or some form of advertisement, or maybe just a little card and say, hey, 1 o'clock, listen to this. Or maybe they can get the previous things that we've done on the radio station. But what I like about it is that it's about Highland Park. And that's all I talk about is Highland Park. And with all these new jobs coming, I would love to have the mayor on here so he can share more in detail, because of course he would have the master planning mayor, Hubert Yap, about the city. in the various things that they are trying to, agendas that they're trying to push forward to make our city a better place and a wonderful place to live, work, and play. Now, what I'm going to do here is we're just going to talk about just something that's a little bit off the beating path. And I don't know if there's anyone listening, but I do know this. Another discussion that I've had is with the children of Highland Park or other children in general. Since the pandemic and before, and the school systems, there's never gym or some type of physical activity, and someone was noticing at the obesity problem with children just sitting playing those games. We have to realize that the schools must insert some form of physical activity because it's good for cleansing of the mind. I heard when you're running around, you're getting all that oxygen. Well, that oxygen is going to your brain, oxygenating your brain. And thereby, when you go to your classrooms after your gym class or your workout, you can really think better. And if you could think better, imagine what your grades will be in the coming year. So when looking at all that, you have to say, well, gosh, why is it that Johnny over there, he sits and plays games all day, and Mary, yes, she plays games, but she loves soccer. Or maybe she might like tennis or basketball. And then down the road, after 2 years of this, you see the difference. You'll see certain attributes. Now, this individual may be smart, but may have some physical problems, or may, when they get up, the legs might not work as well as opposed to, oh, yes, I do the games too, but I love to play tennis or basketball. We have to look at those differences. And we must give our children activities. Because if you don't have the activities, then what? Your child is sitting all day. Think of this, a 5-year-old sitting all day doing this. But you know what happens when you come home from work, right? They're going to want your attention real bad because they haven't ran outside, got all that energy out of their bodies. And of course, you'll be saying, well, some people say, sit down, be quiet, sit down. But if you're saying that at 8 o'clock at night, something needs to happen during the day to get them tired or get them exercise or something. Because otherwise, how are they going to function at night and they haven't done anything but sat still? But they do have the eye, the eye movement and the hands on. That's real good. But what happens to all the other physical stuff? Like, for instance, can you go take out the garbage? Can you take out... Boy, I mean, it seemed like to me some parents would have a problem after a while because they got those headphones on and you're asking them to do something. You would have to, I've seen a parent just snatch the headphones up. Mom, why you do that? Didn't you hear me calling you, boy? But I can imagine it would be awful. You're sitting there calling this kid and it's like a trance almost. John! It really is. So we have to give our children something to do other than that. They've got to exercise their bones, their muscles. Because, think about it. A little kid, a little boy in particular, they are very active. After a while, they might sit there, but boys are usually active. But if they got that game and they got it going and they can figure it out and this and that, next thing you know, that's all they want to do. I notice even in the schools, they're making a lot of the curriculum out of games and such. I guess that's a good deal, and they must be making some form of impact on it, but I can't see how practical that would be in real life when you have to collaborate with others. So maybe they do team collaborations in school. One has one and the other one has one, and they collaborate this way. But I can't imagine that. I just can't. But it's a possibility because think of some of those people all over the world. They play games with people in Australian people or whoever they are in England. They'll play games with people in America, and they win prize money. I've heard people winning up to $1 million playing these games. And I was quite surprised. And I said, well, wait a minute, how do you play one of those games? Let me get on one of those consoles. But anyway, but to no avail, it's very difficult for me to learn such games because it's just hard. I just can't sit there and just play a game all day. My mind is, I guess everybody's brain is wired differently. But most of the young people, they can sit there and play a game all day. And I know some young adults, they do the same thing, but then they realize that, oh, well, I better go out and go to work, and I do have a baby and a wife at home. Oh, would you think? But because the games, if you're not a professional, you're just sitting there playing them, and the professionals that made the game is making all the money because you bought it. So and so down the street bought it. Let's say you paid. I know people paying $200 and some for those things, those games and stuff. So if 1,000 people pay $200 some, or a million people, you done made that person a billionaire just on games. So I can see why they think it's practical. But what I would like to do here is I want to introduce you to someone who's very dynamic. She's a wonderful person. And she's been in the educational arena and has a whole lot of other things that she can probably tell you a little bit more about. And this is going to be our guest segment. Now, during this time, we may have to stop a bit or take a station break for 1 second or two. But our station management will let us know, and I look forward to that. Now, I want to share with you, I don't know if some of you know Miss Linda Wheeler, but she is one of Highland Park's finest persons you ever want to know. She knows a lot about the historical things, and what I love the most about her is she's a musical person as well, and her dad, Mr. Wheeler, taught her how to play the percussions coming up. And I thought that was so admirable, because that's what my roots are here in Highland Park, is music. And I've been a flutist for a long time. And then when I met her dad, Mr. Wheeler, oh my gosh, we would play flute and percussion duets. It was just remarkable what came out of his hands and from my breath from my body. It just is something that you just can't explain it. You would have to listen. It's that type of situation. But anyway, I'm going to introduce you to this wonderful lady who's going to tell you all about the things that's going on and the things that she's involved that also means so dear to my heart. And I'm going to introduce you again, Miss Linda Wheeler. And I'll be asking her a few questions, but I'm going to let her go ahead and grace us. Go ahead, Miss Wheeler.
Good evening, Councilwoman Devlin Jackson. Thank you for inviting me to your show.
I've
watched it since you told me about it, and this is a really cool broadcast. I really enjoy it. I can do the archives and go back and see other shows too. So thank you so much. And I know your fan base is growing, which is a good thing.
Cool. Awesome.
And we want to thank you so much for all the work that you're doing in Highland Park. You see, I'm not being biased. Although you're my councilwoman in my district, you do the work. I see you knocking on doors. You do the sweat equity. Where most of the council people, I'm just going to be honest, are on Facebook.
Yeah.
And you were elected for the people, by the people, and you do that. And I want to thank you for the cleanup.
Oh, thank you.
I want to always thank you too. Just last week, Judge Claire Rich, 95 years young, you came down on my street and did a strolling flute serenade to her. That was so wonderful. I mean, she danced for us, didn't she?
Oh, yes, she did. I couldn't believe it myself.
95 years young. Miss Claire Rich was a former judge in Detroit.
Really?
Yes, and so her husband was a minister. Her daughter was also on the school board and a teacher as well.
Wow.
But I spoke to them a couple days ago, and they're still elated and excited about you coming down there and playing flute. It was such a big surprise.
Oh.
And it gave her heart so much love. And
I am so happy.
so much love. You know, Highland Park is so dear to me, my family, of course, Councilwoman's Devlin family. Once a Parker, always a Parker.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
A true Parker. A Parker that breathes Highland Park, loves Highland Park. And you can always tell when you're talking to a real Highland Parker, because no matter what, we stick with our community. My parents came to Highland Park because of the school district.
Wow.
You know, at that time, we had about 7 or 8 schools. Every school had a swimming pool. To graduate high school, you had to know how to swim. That was a requirement. You could not graduate unless you knew how to swim. From elementary to high school, I learned 5 languages. 5.
Wow.
Now, I received, and Miss Devlon received, and our brothers and sisters received a private school education in a public school setting. We had architect. We had, of course, you mentioned the gym earlier.
Oh, yeah.
We had lacrosse. We had, what is that game that they play in Canada with a broom?
Oh, I know what that is, but I can't think of the game.
I don't remember the name
But
of
they
that
had
game
that,
right
yeah.
now, but it's also an Olympic event, too. We had that event. Of course, we had tennis, basketball, baseball, wrestling. I mean, when it comes to sports, you name it, we had it. As far as academic-wise, at one time in Highland Park, and that's when my parents and your parents, I believe, came to Highland Park, we were number 2 finest school district in the United States. Today, we've got a lot of work to do, as you know.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me ask you a question, Ms. Wheeler. What would be the first thing on your agenda in order to move our district in the right direction?
That's a very long question, but a good question. First of all, I am on the school board. I was a former secretary. We just had a new election, but I've been a school board member since 2014.
Wow, that's a long time.
And I do that because somebody did it for me. As you know, we've come out of emergency management in 2018, 25 years ahead of time, which is an accomplishment in itself. Our debt now is about $11 to $12 million, which is amazing compared to what the debt was in 2012 when we were shut down completely. All of our assets were sold for pennies, which is still a heartbreak, you know.
Yeah.
But what we're doing right now with the district, we've got one school left, and that's Barber School. Our focus on the school board, well, I don't want to say all of the members because we still got a lot of things to tease out, iron out, but we're looking at to really, really make Barber School a standing academic achievement for our students. Interior and exterior. You know, with this new ACT money and COVID money, we're going to receive $14 million.
Wow. So
Yeah.
what are they going to do with that money?
Well,
How
we're
will it be
looking.
dispersed?
We haven't had really the conversation. What we'd like to do, what I'd like to do personally, just my opinion, is to really fix up Barber School. First of all, we've still got a pool. Let's fix up the pool so that children can swim during school and after school, and especially now in summer too.
And then have a gym teacher who's trained.
Of course, like we had before.
Like they should have gym, really.
Like we had before. Remember, we had gym. We had swimming coaches, and then some of our students were trained as lifeguards. So see, that's another avenue. What we need to really do, community people, is come on and get behind us. Our meetings are the first Tuesday of the month. That's our business meeting. And our second meeting is our regular meeting. We have special meetings too. I requested at our last meeting that we put all of our meetings on Zoom, on the website, because community people are asking me, well, what's going on? What's going on? Summer school has started. It started Monday. But unfortunately, the procedure wasn't done right.
Oh, wow.
We don't want to close the school, but still there is about respect for the school board because we are the authorizers. We have a new management company, which is ACE Management, okay? But we haven't been able even yet to interview them, nor even to go over the contract.
Well, how does something like that happen?
How it happens is, that's a good question.
Because normally,
yeah,
if you're a school board, that would be one of the things, an agenda item, and then everybody would approve it on the board. Now, how did the board not approve something that's
there's
a business
lot of
agenda
moving
item?
Pieces.
Really?
There's a lot of
So
moving pieces.
who's in charge of hiring such a group, and the board doesn't have any
Well, let me
of knowing?
explain the procedure, okay?
Oh, okay.
This is how the procedure should have gone, but it didn't go. This is how the procedure went with our last promise school, who is gone now. Okay, first, our board, the Board of Education, we send out RFPs to potential management companies, okay? This didn't happen this time.
So they didn't send out
They sent out RFPs. The board of directors, who happens to be the charter board and not the elected board.
Oh. How did that happen?
Administration. We've got an administration that is not really respecting our board. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Oh.
And that's why we need the community.
I'm not understanding how administration get that much power over a school board.
Well,
can you show me and share how that's possible?
Well,
how is that possible?
Let me explain this too, and that's a very good question. Just recently, if you remember, Governor, when I thank her so much, and we that voted against this ACE Academy being their authorizer, we thank her too. Gretchen Whitmer, our governor, vetoed the Republicans' bill that was H.R. 4945. Let me ask you a question, Councilwoman Jackson. When have the Republicans ever cared about people of color?
Never. Not to my knowledge. This is the first time. Maybe it's is it the first? I've never heard of it happening. Not in my tenure.
Right.
So
exactly. The Republicans, the legislative and their judicial branch, the administration branch, created a bill called H.R. 4945, which would give my district, our board, authorization to educate and bring in a charter school for ACE Academy. Let me explain. ACE Academy is on Hamilton and Lincoln. It is a strict disciplinary academy. You may have seen it, you may have not. It sits way in the back. There's a parking lot up front. But there are young people. We have 12 Highland Parkers there. There are young people there from the ages of 3rd grade to 12th grade.
really?
Yes. And what has happened was, for 13 years, Central Michigan was their authorizer. Central Michigan gave them the authority, okay, to educate their students there. You have to have an authorizer when you have a charter school. Highland Park's district, Highland Park's Board of Education, which I'm a member of, we're the authorizers, okay? And see, there's a lot of moving parts. So what happened was, in 2018, 19, and 20, ACE Academy did not fulfill the requirements for special education. They were out. They were in a default. So Central Michigan said, "Look, 18, 19, and 20, and here it is 21. We're not going to touch you. We're not going to authorize you anymore. You guys don't know what you're doing. We don't want to be responsible for that." So ACE Academy went to Wayne State to ask them to authorize them. Saginaw Valley, Michigan State, Eastern Michigan, they said the same thing. We don't want to touch you. Central Michigan was your authorizer, and now they're saying that you don't have your special education in compliance, and you still don't have it. We don't want to touch you. So at the last minute, guess where they come? To the Highland Park District, dumping it on our laps.
Yep.
Saying that we should authorize because the students will be the school will be shut down if we don't have an authorizer. What we're saying is, what happened to the other people? Why are you coming to us now? Of course, we want our children to learn, but there must be some problems with your school. There must be some problems with your curriculum. There must be some problems. So why are you coming to us? The Republicans thought that, this is what we'll do. Since Highland Park is an authorizer of K through 8, but not an authorizer for K through 12, hey, let's push this bill and make them an authorizer from K through 12.
Oh.
And so this brings me to wonder, why are the Republicans so for education when we know what Betsy DeVos did to us? You remember that? We're still getting over that.
Yeah, she wasn't an educator.
There's big money. There's big money.
Was getting big bucks.
There's big bucks. There's big money in schools.
But she was never an educator, was she?
Right. Is something on your television there?
Oh, there's a caller.
Oh.
Hi, caller. How are you?
Hi. I just wanted to say good show.
Oh, thank
and
you,
I was
sir.
calling to let you know that I was watching the other day with Chop It Up with Linda Bernard, and a Mr. Smith was there. I can't remember his first name, but he was representing Ace Academy,
Oh.
and he had talked about how they were established 20 years ago when he himself was the economic developer for the city of Highland Park. And, he was, in my opinion, kind of responsible for helping Ace get there, which is on the compound of the youth prison there. So I just heard your guest trying to explain the authorization part, but I think it's not only they should not come to Highland Park School District for authorization because, like she said, they are non-compliant and they've been failing for the past few years. And that's why the other authorizer said no. So Highland Park School District should take heed to that and follow that example and say no. But in my opinion, this school, Ace Academy, does not benefit the public interest of Highland Park, and it takes money away, potentially takes money away from the public school system in Highland Park that the children on the outside can attend. This Ace Academy is only for the inmates,
Right.
which doesn't benefit Highland Park at all, I don't think. And then it's a private charter. So why are they asking for public monies? They whatever they are entitled to as an academic institution, okay, from the state, and they should get private money to fund a private school, because that's what it is, in fact, and it's restricted only to the inmates on that compound.
Wow.
And then that whole compound just does not benefit Highland Park. So I think the prison and the school should go and leave Highland Park and let that land
I
be
agree with that.
developed
Caller,
for better use.
Amen.
That's my comment. Thank you.
caller, may I have your name? But anyway, thank you very much for that
Amen.
comment, because I think there's a lot of validity to that. I think that the schools need to wake up and realize that how my mother used to say it, all good money is not good.
That's right.
And sometimes when you're dealing with a troubled system and you don't have the information behind it as to, well, why would these people not authorize these wonderful young folk? How can something like this happen? And how can something like that happen? But what is the protocol for them to straighten that situation out? Now, I imagine if they had done what they were supposed to do, whatever they're supposed to do as far as getting assortment or assertive or whatever programs that needed to happen to make them reach the goal where someone would authorize them, those things have to be looked into. You have to dot your I's and cross your T's, because you're dealing, what people fail to realize is, yeah, you're looking at dollars, but you're dealing with people's lives, deciding which way they're going to go. I mean, even though I know that Mr. Kevin probably was talking to Ace Academy, but the problem is that a conflict of interest? I mean, when you're thinking about
It's a big conflict of interest.
that's a conflict of interest.
It's a big one.
So if you're doing that, that's just saying that you're trying to push something on somebody because of, you can't get paid out of two pots. Now, I don't know if that's the case. I'm not saying it's the case, but why are you pushing one thing on another? And some things are just confusing to me.
Well, I'm just going to be honest with you. It's about money.
Oh.
It's always about money. You know that. In this system. Ace Academy was receiving $17,000 a head for a student. Now, with this new education money, they would have been receiving $48,000 a student.
Wow.
Yeah. It's about money. And that's why the Republicans were so keyed up to try to have us being authorized. Governor Whitmore saw through all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so glad. Even though there was a vote of 4-3, we weren't in the majority of the vote.
Right.
But still, she saw through all of that. which our representative Helena Scott,
Mm-hmm.
our state rep, she was in Lansing as well, talking for us and standing up to everybody to see this smoke and mirrors shell game going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that what our caller was saying, it is a baby prison.
It is.
It's a baby prison.
When I go there, when I pass that building, it makes me shudder.
Mm-hmm.
I see all those razor wires.
Right.
And it makes me wonder, children, are they like behind? Do they lock them up at night and lock the doors? And it just sounds really something that I wouldn't want to see children, even if they did have difficulties and problems. Why do they have to be treated like that?
Let me say this, please. When Ace Academy was at one of our Zoom meetings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said to myself, what are the qualifications? What is the eligibility for a young person to be housed there, right?
Right.
So I looked it up. Of course, if you're expelled or suspended, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of physical violence to a student or a staff member, or sexual violence. But also, too, there were other qualifications which gave me a big red flag. Here's one of them. You could be in special education. Your IEP team, which is your educational file, can request that you get sent there.
Really?
You've never been violent to anybody. You've never been sexually active or molest anybody, but they can recommend that you get sent there through court order.
Now
You could be in a foster home. You could be a ward of the state. The courts can send you there. So we've got children there that don't even have a record. But the court has ordered them to be residents there.
my thing is this. Even although children may have issues, what is the deal on the razor wire? I don't see any of them trying to climb the fence to get. I mean, does it have to really look like that?
It's a
I
baby
have a problem.
prison.
I don't like that
Representative
look.
Brenda Carter also represented us in Lansing too, when the Republicans were kind of trying to lobby for this H.R. 4945 bill to have our board, our district be authorizers for their ACE Academy. And she said, you know what? In the state, there are several more strict disciplinary academies, SDAs, correct?
Right.
But they look nothing like Highland Park. These other places in Michigan look like college campuses. Highland Park's ACE Academy on Lincoln and Hamilton, it looks like a baby prison. Is this what we're doing to our children? Yes. Is this what we're allowing to happen to our children? The Highland Park Board of Education says no. Close it down. The state will determine what will be done with that building and send the population to other locations where it is much more environmentally safe and
Right.
friendly. They have gang fights going on in there.
Are you serious?
People are getting molested and raped and beat up. The staff, it's down to, I don't know, they've left. The staff is leaving. They can't stand the environment. The psychologists have left. Why must you
What?
traumatize and hurt our youth? You that voted for this. What is your angle? In Highland Park, the three that voted against this is really for children first. We're going to need the community to stand with us, and we'll be coming to you as well, because we need you to be strong with us and to be our voice. There's only 3 of us on the board, on a board of 7, that are really looking out, I'm going to say personally, for our children and our babies.
Really?
There's 3 of us.
I hear
There's
you.
3 of us. That's it. And that's why we'll be having meetings, Zoom meetings, to inform the the public, to inform our community just what's going on with our schools. Because I get it. If I wasn't on the school board, I'd be saying, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. I don't have a clue. So we will start having Zoom community meetings. And I requested Tuesday at our special meeting that we have all our Zoom meetings on our website.
You know what I was thinking about doing? I was thinking about having a District 1 Zoom meeting just to be highlighted in like
Good
15,
idea.
20 minutes,
Uh-huh.
just to keep people informed. They want to be informed. But
Yeah.
in having that, I found out the easy way that I have this wonderful printer at the house. I can print up flyers and say neighbors just share out block captains and see if they, just come on. We could talk about things and
Right.
cause beautification. Because I'm looking at my district. Now there are some areas that's like the Wild Kingdom, but it's not as bad as many. And I would love to have time if we had men who had those high machineries that could help Willie and those guys cut some of that stuff down, because some places it looks like such forestry.
Yeah.
But those are things that when you got children going to the schools, you don't want animals to come out and attack them, and they're
No.
walking they're at the school, and that's a possibility because when you have all those woods,
We've got
it's a
coyotes
it's a
now.
possibility.
What is that? What is that animal we've got now?
Um,
Not coyotes. What is it?
There's deer. I saw a
There's
couple of
deer,
deers.
but I'm talking about they look like a dog, but they're wild dogs.
What are those
Not
things?
wolverines, but we've
No.
got some animals that belong in the in the woods somewhere.
But they don't belong in Highland Park.
Not in Highland Park.
But
because of the ecological balance, the earth is changing.
yeah, and the thing about it is there's a lot of building going on out in the suburban areas. But it's going to be a lot of building going on out in Highland Park, so I'm not sure where
Soon.
they're going to run. I mean, there's Mr. Yop has planned quite a few activities, and I'm so thankful. It's going to
Me
be
too.
exciting to
We're
see.
coming back. We're coming back. We are coming back.
Yep.
That's interesting that your caller called and spoke about Mr. Curtis Smith. I've had a conversation with him, and he did tell me that he's on Ace Academy's board for just a year and a half. But also, too, let me point this out. Did you know on the same board that Mr. Smith is on, Michelle Palmer is on that board? And you're asking me, well, who's Michelle Palmer?
Well, go ahead and explain it to him because
Michelle Palmer from Grosse Pointe was accused of voter suppression in Highland Park, in Detroit in the last election.
Oh,
She's on that board.
so that tells me a lot. I don't know about you guys out there, and you're watching. This is the Highland Park Show, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. And this is the Highland Park Show. And I'm so thankful as a councilwoman who is running for her seat. I'm seeing some of the most wildest things that you could ever believe. We'll discuss that. That's a whole nother show in itself. But I'm seeing some very strange happenings. I'm watching, I was walking down the street. I was driving down the street. I'm pretty cheery and everything. And I saw some people, and I waved at them. Their heads turned like this, as if I wasn't even driving. I'm like, well, I've been told to look forward to other happenings, and that's okay. But what I don't like to see is, I would like to just see people just not be rude. Because everything that we do, the children will reflect the same
That's
sort
right.
of things. And even if we do not like something, you always, I don't know what people are thinking when you have children, they're getting your attributes. They're getting your personality. They are getting everything in you that you are issuing out. And a lot of times, as a teacher, I was a teacher for a very long time. And often, at times, the parents that let their children be the most vocal and standing outish and saying whatever the heck they want, those are the children when they get 18, they tell the parents off and say this other thing is disrespectful. But those values, and I just want to repeat again, values. If you let your child say anything to anybody and they're 12, 13, 9, 15, and here I'm a 60 whatever plus woman, at the age of whatever. Just kidding, people. But anyway, you want to go back in the times when your mama and daddy was coming along and backslap them or jack them up or something, but that's not the thing to do, so you talk to them. But I'm saying to you, the listener, it's not the child, it's the parent. The parent has to be instructed before they can instruct the child. So with all these people out here talking, just like the lady, the voter suppression, was she suppressed when she was a child?
No.
Did her mother and father suppress her? Did they try to leave her at the bus stop and not never come back for her? I mean, those are, people forget that they were once what? Children.
May I interject this
Yes,
also,
ma'am.
this point too? Mr. Curtis Smith, who happens to be on the board of Ace Academy, also, as our caller mentioned, was the Community Economic Development Director for Highland Park during Lindsay Porter's administration. But if you remember that Highland Park, at one time, we had to be shut down. Remember? We had emergency management, which was Ramona Pearson, who really did a lot of damage. If you remember, she allowed, what's his name, Eminem to do that movie, 8 Mile, when it was a big community protest. But let's just get back to Mr. Curtis Smith. He was instrumental in her moving in Highland Park to really devastate us. Okay? He was assisting her in a lot of things that didn't have to happen during the bankruptcy time.
Right.
Check out Mr. Curtis Smith's bio, please, and see what he's talking about. See where he's coming from, and does he really care about our youth, or is there another agenda?
There's several agendas I can just imagine. But I am telling you, this is Linda Wheeler here. And Linda, tell us something about the human rights projects that you've been involved
Very
in.
good, yeah. I'm a member of the Highland Park Human Rights Coalition, which we've been in Highland Park since about 2006, maybe something like that. Fortunately, with Benton Harbor, we received a grant, the Water Leak Pilot Program, which means that Highland Park and Benton Harbor residents, 100, will receive free leak repair through a plumbing company called Benkari. Now, to be eligible, the water department, who's the management company, MCA, has a software that can determine high water usage. And this software can tell you if your house is using too much water, you must have leaks. The reason why I know personally, because my mom's house was on the list, because I called the water department. I mean, her bill was like between $130 and $150 a month.
Holy moly.
So you know she had some leaks, huh? We don't have a swimming pool or a spa.
Yes, you do. You got one now.
The eligibility for that program, there was 167 names throughout Highland Park that was on the high water usage list. I was appointed the project coordinator, which meant that we were to canvass the 160 homes in Highland Park with information, what we're about. It wasn't, it was your basic leaks, not the, where you have to go into the basement and under the floor and stuff like that. Maybe changing the toilets. I received 2 toilets, a faucet in the kitchen, a new one, and also to the plumber. He came June the 16th. He repaired the faucets in the bathroom with caulking. Benton Harbor, like I said, was in on this, as well as Highland Park. We're still going out to homes. We've made about 50 resident visits, so we've got about 50 more. But
Well, that's good.
yeah,
That's a good start.
Yeah, it's a free program.
Yeah.
I mean, when have we ever in Highland Park heard anything free?
But I tell you though, that's on my agenda. I want us to, because we were so, our water was taken away from us.
Yes.
And that's one thing I'm passionate about, because my mom had to pay a quite hefty assessment in which she thought she was going to lose her home. Now imagine this, an elderly woman You already paid for your house years and years ago. So your little money you getting is the same money every month, and it can pay the little bills there.
Mm-hmm.
1 month you went from paying your water bill $45 every 3 months to paying a $90 when it got switched over to Detroit, paying like a $90 or $80 water bill a month.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to me, that is a significant difference, and that's almost 1,000. Isn't that like 1,000% upgrade?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you think about it, that's well more. If somebody's paying $45 or $50 every 3 months, that's 4 times a year, right?
Right.
So if it's $50 times 4, that's $200. But $80 times 12 is way more than $200. So that's way more than 1,000%. We might even have to say maybe 2,000%. I haven't looked at the percentile.
Well, on a fixed
but,
income, it's too much money.
That's way too much money. So I would like to go back to the way it was. And I think that in all fair and honesty, once they get us all set, that we need to start at a zero set situation. And not only that, since the citizens paid that high assessment illegally, something needs to be going back to their whatever house that water bill, whoever paid those assessments, they shouldn't have to pay.
Well, we won the lawsuit.
Right.
We
right.
won that. It's still
Mhm.
in court.
Mm-hmm.
What the judgment is that from, I think, 2012,
Mm-hmm.
when the water department was shut down,
Absolutely.
to whenever you received a new water meter, which could have been 2016 or 17,
Right.
maybe even 18, that you will receive credit on your water bill.
Absolutely.
But that's still going through court. But we won.
Yep. But you know what? I'm thanking you all from the bottom of my heart. I know it was a lot of sacrifices, and many of the elders who was on that team, most of them are no longer with us. And just the fact that they thought enough of us to put up with that fight is a wonderful thing, and you guys are doing
That
an
was
awesome
through the Human
situation.
Rights Coalition.
You guys
we
are doing
did
an awesome
Yes,
situation.
we did get
And
some transitions. You're
yeah,
right.
there was a few transitions, and the Human Rights
Yes.
Coalition has prompted these attitudes and all these things. And I think you guys deserve more praise in the
Thank
community. And I'm going to one day, I will be able to publicly say that once all this is said and done, give the proper thanks what proper thanks is due. Because when we realize if it wasn't for Ms. Kramer and all those wonderful people who started, like I said, many of whom have transitioned. If it weren't for them, we would not be where we are
Shirley
today.
Love, she's gone.
Yes, we would probably be paying
Emma
some
Fogel.
crazy assessment, $16 million, I heard it was, divided by the 2 people left in Highland Park would be quite an. I'm just kidding, you
And
guys.
they were
But that
talking
would be
about
really absorptive.
putting that on your
really.
text.
Yeah.
That's what they were talking about.
Yeah, so
But
if you
thank
did-
God we won.
Right.
We won.
And I'm just doing the math real quickly here. I'm just saying, okay, if we have, even if everybody paid, what was it? The average cost was like $4,000 that the average citizen have to pay. $4,000 a piece.
Something like that.
Now imagine
been a
this: how
little
many
bit more.
citizens do we have in Highland Park?
They
Roughly,
say
they say 10,000.
11,000, but I think we're at
I don't think it's
probably
less than that.
9.
Yeah, if we did that, and we divided that, let's say 11,000. Let's say we got 11,000.
Okay.
Let's say we divided that by 16 million. Okay, we're going. That's almost.
How much is that now?
I'm going to do the math, but it's over $20,000 a household.
And see, and people would lose because who's got $20,000?
Who's got $20,000? So really, when
expendable
people
money?
were talking about gentrification,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's what you call gentrification, but I call it cheater-amation. You're
call it-
cheating.
I call it land grabbing.
Land grabbing. You're just cheating the people who done paid for this
Yeah.
land. Irregardless, it's not fair.
No.
And I'm just thankful for you all.
Thank
You
you.
came up and you stood your ground. But anyway, we're getting towards the end of the show, and I want to always make sure I thank my guest, Ms. Wheeler.
Thank you for having
She's
me.
been so instrumental in sharing with us all the details of what this coalition has done. But the most important thing is that through it all, they survived, and they helped the Highland Park people win this lawsuit with the attorneys
Won.
or what have you. Now, I'm not sure what will become of all this because it's so many things are up in the air. But I know that one day, something will be concrete. And until that day, we just have to wait, citizens. Because then, at that point, we'll know ourselves that either they're going to take it off the bills or however they're going to do it. But whatever it is, let's just let it be fair to